Hey everybody, Craig Foley here. Welcome to the Friday Follies on Deadline Detroit. We are live at the Buell Bar here in downtown Detroit, which we like to do on Fridays, drinking our hot toddies today. Actually, it's just really, really weak black coffee that is not very good.
That
it's not very
made.
good. I made it, and I screwed it up. I apologize to everybody, but it is cold. It is cold outside in downtown Detroit today, but we are warm in here, and we're going to have some fun with the news this week. My guest this week, again, Nancy Derringer from Deadline Detroit, is back with me once again. I appreciate it very much. You are the guinea pig from Deadline, and you're stuck with me, whether you like it or not.
All right, whatever.
Not every week. We'll give you a break next week. How about that?
Okay.
I've already lined it up. And also, my friend Ashley Woods is back again from Detour Detroit. Thank you for being here as well. So we have Deadline Detroit, Detour Detroit. Can I go there?
Yes.
A Dullard Detroit, perhaps today, because Donald Trump.
Detroit. I'm feeling Dullard Detroit.
Well,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, again, in the news this morning.
Oh, we're talking
as he
about
is every
Dotard,
day.
the old Dotard. Is
Yes.
that how you pronounce it?
Dullard, I
Dullard?
believe is right.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
thank
Kim
you.
Jong-un, for bringing that word back into the lexicon.
The Victorian era couldn't hold on to it forever.
Well, you know, apparently they're going to meet again. We'll
Okay.
talk about that a little later. But the big news today, obviously, for everybody, is Roger Stone got indicted this morning, arrested at 6 a.m., having somebody knock on the door at 6 a.m. He's probably in his boxer shorts, you know, sitting around, and who knows. But
Probably kissing his latest swinging conquest goodnight, or, you know. I'm not going to say anything nice about Roger Stone. That guy is vile.
He's not a good guy. I mean, he says he likes to sort of, what do you call it? I operate within the dark arts. So I'm like, okay, what character in Harry Potter would he be? If we're talking about, you know, the evil people in the Harry Potter series, where would Roger Stone fall in that? He's not exactly Voldemort, right?
Okay.
But he might be, you know, that Wormtail guy or somebody like that for anybody that knows Harry Potter.
I don't.
I don't know Harry Potter.
Lower level character.
Sorry.
Just one of the evil plotters.
Yeah, I don't know. You're talking. You might as well be into like the second Star Wars iteration here.
You know, can you help me at least try to attract a millennial audience? I mean, my God, what's going on here? So I kid.
I tried to read them to my daughter. She wasn't into it. So, you know, there you go.
Well, okay.
And those are big books to read aloud.
But
so.
Roger Stone, I mean, this guy's in a little bit of trouble. He's got a lot of different charges. One, it looks like he is the guy that was communicating with WikiLeaks through originally a radio station friend of his, which is person number 2 in this indictment.
Yeah.
Apparently, he tampered with a witness, according to this indictment, including threatening the dude's dog.
When you practice the dark arts and when you threaten dogs, I think you have really crossed, you know, this chasm too. I mean, there's not even a dark side to go to. You're already on the dark side and you're headed for like the edge
So
of
we're
the
calling
dark
this
side.
upperclassman level dark arts.
Yeah,
Like dark arts
absolutely.
501.
Yeah.
Threatening of canines.
Grad school dark arts. When you threaten pets, especially dogs.
Well, they had a different term for this during the Nixon administration, this dirty tricks campaign, and I'm not going to use the word here, but it's rat effing, basically. This is just sort of advanced version of that. But look, it certainly seems as if now there's a connection here that Robert Mueller has that will lead to some other things. I mean, Rudy Giuliani's been saying, well, somebody might have colluded, but it wasn't Trump. This circle's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and I'm wondering what you guys think. Ashley, I mean, it's just a matter of time before the Democrats say, enough, we're actually going to start thinking about impeachment proceedings.
I mean, you would think, and that's, you know, obviously a big fight in the Democratic Party right now. I mean, it's when you see someone like Roger Stone who's going to such great lengths to obstruct an investigation. I mean, is it just because the man loves obstructing and he's been obstructing since, you know, 1968 or whatever? Or like, to me, I think like at some point, like you're not going to do all this work if there isn't something there.
Yeah.
Right. So I think this was a really monumental. I looked at Fox News today, and they actually it was really interesting to see. Yeah, it was on the homepage, but they were counting the scalps that Robert Mueller had snatched so far.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, good one.
It was a really interesting phrasing of just like, you know, that mean man Robert Mueller's gotten another one. But I think, you know, I mean, like even Fox News was saying like, these are legit charges. So
obstruction of justice is a problem.
Often do that. They will often do that with a breaking story that doesn't go their way. They'll come out and they'll do their we're responsible journalists act, and they'll say, oh, this is very serious. This is very serious. And then by that evening, the pushback starts on the talking head shows, and then within a day or two, suddenly the story has evolved. But I have a cold today, and I'm not feeling like I want to have a serious discussion about, you know, the rule of law and all that. I want to know how the other inmates are going to react to the enormous Richard Nixon tattoo on Roger Stone's back.
I was just about to bring that up. The
Wait,
the man has a large Richard Nixon tattoo on his back.
On his back.
That's amazing.
That's going to go over pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, it's
that
one
is
of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to say,
especially
like,
in prison.
I'm sure he's done horrific things, but would I watch like the Fire Festival type documentary of Roger Stone like all day?
There's
right?
actually there's already one out there.
Is there?
It's called Get Me Roger Stone, and
Okay.
it's about his career as a dirty trickster. But I want to hear more about this phase of his life. You know, I want to hear from the guys making Pruno in the prison. Toilets and
That's hard.
how is because he's a swinger.
Is it just Richard Nixon's face?
I don't know. I haven't seen it,
I've
so
never
I can't
seen
say.
it
But
either.
I heard that,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all,
Made my day.
I mean, Richard Nixon.
Well, that was his.
I mean, so is this his way of
mentor.
saying that Richard Nixon got railroaded or something like that?
Well,
I mean,
come on, we all know how Roger Stone and Richard Nixon got along. I mean, they got along like a house of fire. So, I mean, I think it was a tribute to the man for the same reason that Michael, our switcher over here, has his dog on his forearm. You know, it's just like, that's what. But he did put it on his back, so it's not like you have to look at it every day. So
Maybe that's his thing. It's just like Richard Nixon's always watching
Yeah.
you. Imagine being in like the gym sauna with Roger Stone and just having Richard Nixon stare at you. I mean, like, it's amazing.
Shudder.
No, I don't think so. But that's just a fun little fact that we learned the other day is that this happens, and now a whole lot of other people are going to see it.
Yeah.
And that may be a good thing, and maybe a bad thing for him. I don't know, but
I know he's
somehow,
also quite the dandy. He loves to dress like super sharp.
Well, I hope orange is the new black
Yeah.
for sure, because he's going to need to think about what his decor is going to be. Those jumpsuits don't go with a whole lot.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about Rudy Giuliani for just a second, because he has had an interesting couple of weeks, and his statements keep changing. It was last week he's like, well, I never said that there was no collusion. Well, yeah, you said that a million times. And now he's saying, well, if there was collusion, it's not a crime. And now he's saying, well, I didn't say nobody in the campaign, colluded. It just said Donald Trump didn't collude. And Rudy Giuliani, of course, apparently is now on the bad side of Donald Trump.
I
has
wonder
not been
why.
happy. He's not been happy with his performance in these things so far. So what do you think should happen with Rudy Giuliani? Should he just try to get the heck out of Dodge while he can, because he's painting himself into a pretty big corner?
I think all Fox News, he should suffer the fate of all Fox News grandpas who have loving family members, which is
America's grandpas,
which is to essentially be taken by his elbow and led quietly away from the spotlight and the green room, and just taken down to maybe a nice, placid, tranquil pond and given a fishing rod and told, this is the place for you. I don't know. I mean, he's like a nightmare lawyer. I mean, can you imagine having a lawyer that undercuts you with every time he opens his mouth?
Certainly earning his pay, isn't
I know.
I mean, it's really unbelievable. There's part of me that wonders, and I'm not saying this for serious, I'm a joke, so I am saying this satirically. There's a part of me that wonders if Rudy Giuliani is actually a secret psychopath who is so angry that Donald Trump has everything that he wants, right? Rudy Giuliani was in New York too. He tried to be tough on law enforcement too. He tried to be the big money guy, Republican guy, and all he wanted to do was be president. And now it's Donald Trump. So part of me is did he take this job and he's just trying to lead him down the plank? Is this Rudy's secret revenge? Because it would be amazing if so.
That would be amazing.
That's some deep conspiracy stuff right there.
Yeah, that's,
I was just in the shower
now my
today, and I
plan
was
is developing 20 years later. It's all coming to fruition.
That would, if so, that would be so cool, and I would have a weird sense of respect for Rudy Giuliani. But the truth, as you said, is probably he is the worst attorney of all time.
Yeah.
Not even bad. Roger Stone might be bad, but he's effective.
This is the guy that put the Gambino family behind bars. I mean, he was.
I know.
He's a U.S. attorney.
I know.
And the fact that he is willing to throw his old organization under the bus as much as he is.
He was America's mayor after 9/11, and
he's
and then he was talking about
grandpa.
Now he's talking about running for president, and you said he has everything that Donald Trump has everything that Rudy Giuliani wants, but Rudy now has 3 ex-wives, and Donald Trump only has 2. So
he's beating him on that.
Yeah,
exactly. Rudy won in the win category.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. In the meantime, though, all this is happening while the government is still shut down.
Yes.
I did want to talk a little bit about Wilbur Ross, who, of course, is the Commerce Secretary the other day, that was on Fox News, as a matter of fact, and talking about how, they're going on 2 paychecks they haven't received. Most of us don't get 2 paychecks. We've got problems. We've got big problems. And there was a story about how some of the people were going down to local shelters and food pantries to get food to feed their family to endure this shutdown. Many of them doing this while they're going to work every day because they're quote-unquote essential personnel and not getting paid. And Wilbur Ross came out and said, well, I don't understand why they're doing that. They could go get loans. They could do this kind of stuff.
Federally guaranteed loans.
Well, just the tone deafness of that is just something that, and tone deaf is not the right term. I would rather use something else.
Yeah.
Montgomery Burns. That's absolutely Montgomery Burns. And then I heard the president himself, exactly. They just did, yeah. I remember when the president himself said something about, well, you just need to go to your mortgage banker and they know you and just explain.
No, they don't.
And it's
know
like,
you.
what?
It's because mortgage has been bought and sold 4 times since they've owned their house.
Exactly.
You're basically dealing with some giant behemoth like Chase or Bank of America or somebody like that or some of these other ones.
He seems to live in this world where, there's a factory on the edge of town with a belching smokestack and the men show up with their lunchbox, every day, and your mortgage banker and your everybody. I mean, that's insane. Yeah.
And nobody's dealing with the Bailey Brothers building and loan anymore.
No, absolutely not.
That's just not the way that the world works.
Right.
And here's the other thing, too. As we said last week, what's the line from Goodfellas? F you, pay me. That's what it is. Those creditors are not just going to be like, oh, that's too bad. We're going to give you a few extra weeks. They want their cash.
No, of course.
And really, if they wanted to make it easier for these federal guys, the United States government could have figured out a way to issue out low-cost, interest-free loans to every single federal worker and, have them tap into, $10,000 worth
But would those be essential personnel? They're furloughed right now. There's nobody to actually go through all that paperwork.
Yeah,
and
nobody to even do it. Wilbur Ross
how many federal workers are we talking about?
800,000.
800,000.
Yeah.
Now remember, in the mortgage crisis back in 2008, 2009, when everybody was underwater, everybody was losing their homes, trying to get these mortgage modifications, that was a disaster, an absolute disaster, because they were not capable of handling the volume of requests that came in. So what makes us think that it would be any different this time?
It wouldn't.
You're
right about that.
No.
It wouldn't. So that's not, something has to be done on this one. Is Nancy Pelosi right to say, what, screw the State of the Union, we're not doing it until after this is solved?
At this point, I would say yes. I mean, if it was 3 days into the shutdown, maybe not. But I mean, it's been a month. This master deal maker apparently believes that negotiation is walking into a room, pounding the table, demanding what you want. When you don't immediately get what you want, you say bye-bye and you walk out. It's like, that's not negotiating. That's just being an infant.
That would be strong-arming.
Strong-arming. So, I mean, she's pushing back. I think she's right to do it.
It's hard for me to understand just how... I understand there are a lot of... there's a lot of people that swing conservative, right? But I think kind of using people who don't have means as a pawn in a political argument, is
pretty reprehensible.
It's just kind of a sick thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it kind of cuts across your political lines. And I'm actually surprised. I think we're finally getting to the point now where people are starting to be like, oh, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Right? And it's sad that we're at 34 days.
Well, flights are being canceled in New York today. A couple of other airports because of the TSA stuff.
It might impact Wilbur Ross.
Well,
and that I think
finally touches him.
That could be the typical. Well, he probably flies private, but I mean, you're right.
He needs an air traffic controller too.
I know, but his friends. You're right. His friends and Republican donors fly commercial. I mean, they fly places. Members of Congress fly
places. Is the
places.
Wilbur Ross statement as stupid as it was to sit there and say, well, why can't they just do that? Is that the thing that's sort of the straw that broke the public's back on in terms of where public opinion is on this? Because Donald Trump's numbers are tanking right now.
Yeah, it would depend on how widely disseminated that statement is, and
it's gonna be.
How many people think that "Go ask Dad for money" is a legitimate piece of advice to give people.
So, I mean, without saying too much, my family has been negotiating something with a bank right now for a deal, and we're in month 2 right now, right? So I mean, even if we don't look at how heartless and short-sighted and thoughtless that statement is. As a banker, it's shocking that he would say that, knowing that no one would get their money in time. Like,
exactly.
You know, I mean, he knows better, and that's like the part where I just like you said, it's not that he's tone deaf. He just either is like, "F you, pay me," or I mean,
he lives in a different world.
Has retrograde amnesia? I'm not sure.
And please remember, these are the people who call liberals elitists. So, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to get back to Kim Jong-un for just a little bit here.
Okay.
Switching gears, because it looks like there's going to be another meeting in February between President Trump and Kim Jong-un to see if they can't restart the nuclear talks, which went so well last time. And I just got to say, I'm really hoping that they do it at Mar-a-Lago, where they can play golf, because I want to see Kim Jong-un play golf, and here's why. His father, the press agency in North Korea, once put out a press release saying that his father doesn't play golf because it's too easy. He played 18 holes, in which he had 11 holes in one.
It's true. True story.
And he had 11 holes in one, and I think he shot like a 22 or something like that for 18 holes. And
this man on the PGA.
And he's just like, I don't play golf because the game is too easy for our fearless leader,
okay.
our exalted one. I think that's what they call him there.
He was also born out of rainbow, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. And I was kind of hoping that Kim Jong-un had those same skills. You know, I want the Tiger Woods, Kim Jong-un.
Well,
Donald
match
Trump
on Mar-a-Lago,
and one other guy, Vijay Singh, foursome. So that would be really something. Actually, I have seen pictures of Kim Jong-un on a horse, and
was he bare-chested like our friend Mr. Putin?
He's just a teensy bit pudgy. I have seen pictures of him on a horse, and so I want them to go riding together, like Reagan and the Queen did. They went riding together when Reagan went over to England. You never, and I want to see Donald Trump on a horse.
See, I want to see Donald Trump, Putin, and Kim Jong-un together on horses, all bare-chested. I think that's the thing that we need,
I don't want to
because
see that.
that is going to solidify his place amongst the dictators in his mind. And here's the other deal: make sure you have a painting done of this, and make sure that you pay for that with a foundation cash, so you can hang it up in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
I think that would be outstanding.
Ooh,
and put it on velvet, and it'd be even better.
I do love a velvet painting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everyone loves a velvet painting.
Maybe even with black light. That'd be even better.
Now you're just dreaming.
So anyway, do we think anything is going to come of this next summit? At what point do we just realize that Kim Jong-un is not somebody whose word is necessarily worth a damn?
The easy answer to that complicated question is, what was it? Do I think anything will come of it? No. Go ahead. Ashley, take it away.
I was going to say, it must be refreshing for Donald Trump to be in the room with Kim Jong-un and not be the craziest man at the table, right? And in that way, like...
Maybe somebody else will get killed with what was it that his uncle was killed with?
A flamethrower.
A flamethrower. That was it. Yeah, maybe somebody else will die by flamethrower, but you never know.
These are the people we want to be hanging out with, right?
Yeah.
This is it. These are our friends. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Let's go to Michigan here for just a second, because some interesting news came out.
Too cold here.
We were talking about America's grandpa.
Yeah.
Well, America's crazy uncle, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He's contemplating a run for president potentially. It came out that he campaigned in Michigan for Republican Representative Fred Upton.
Yes.
Who, of course, represents the southwest part of the state of Michigan in Congress. Been there for a long time. Interesting guy. And then came back and said, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned," because the Democrats were not very pleased about that, given what we were trying to do. Now, Fred Upton was not in a whole lot of danger in that congressional race, but he had a more spirited challenge than he'd had in a long time.
Right.
What do you think about Joe Biden campaigning for Fred?
So I'm not going to get on whether Joe Biden should campaign for him or not, because I'm a journalist. I'm not supposed to be like a Democratic Party operative. It's not my place to say. They can figure that out themselves. What I will say is, I went back and looked at the poll numbers for Upton versus Littlejohn in August, September, October, the race, and pretty much, it was a small, like you said, it was a smaller lead.
What are the smaller margins?
Than Upton had in a long time, but it was pretty much 5% the entire time up into the election. And frankly, I don't know if Joe Biden showing up hurt him as much as the 2-month debate he had over whether he was a real doctor or not, because he wasn't licensed in Michigan. What I think the New York Times story failed to do was put that in context of there was no proof that Joe Biden
swung anything.
Yeah. And I think it's actually kind of reprehensible to write that story without actually doing any sort of statistical or data analysis of that. I mean, 538, I mean, any other place always said Upton was going to win that race.
Right.
So, I mean, I will say I had some issues with that story this morning.
Okay. And I would agree with Ashley. The thing that I found, well, first of all, Fred Upton is a very moderate Republican and way more moderate than most people in his party these days. And he's good friends with Debbie Dingell and works with her often. And so the fact that he has Democratic friends, and also he has this interest in cancer, which is, of course, a huge thing with Biden because of his family history with this. What appalled me about that was the $200,000 check that Biden collected for that. I'm just flabbergasted. $200,000 for one speech?
Life is good.
I'll say. I mean, I understand he's a vice president, and I understand that people filled Little Caesars Arena to see Michelle Obama, and I'm sure, she walked away with, this book is, her book blew up.
She's doing okay.
Yeah, she's doing fine, but I mean, $200,000 for a speech? My God. These people really live in a different world.
I know, and every time I give a
$50,000
speech,
travel budget
I do
for
it for free. I mean, just because nobody wants to pay to see me. But
I would pay. How much do you want?
A modest honoarium,
well,
$100.
I'll give you.
I'll do it for $199,000. Okay. How about that? I'll undercut Joe by $1,000. That'll pack him in. So anyway,
like I said, I get where some Democrats were, but like you said, Upton was a moderate Republican. I think the candidate Upton was a moderate Republican. I think the other candidate had issues from the beginning. They were saying Joe Biden didn't endorse. It's one of those things. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we're at a point now where candidates are not allowed to support in any way people on the other side of the aisle. And I'm sure you'd have somebody who is in the Democratic camp, saying, well, this is the reason Republicans are, in control of things. And I don't know, I guess they're going to have to work that out. But I'm not totally sure that story had as much weight as it.
Yeah, I just had to put it out there.
Well, and for it to happen in a what was widely anticipated to be a blue wave election. And the other thing is, he apologized afterward. Oh, I'm sorry. It's it may not have made any difference.
I'm not sorry.
It may not have moved the needle at all, but he did it, and then he felt that he had to apologize for it, which is kind of of course, he wants to run for president. Yeah. Huh?
I said, you're right. That is telling.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
There's a lot of septuagenarians who are going to be running for president this time around.
Yep.
Remember when Ronald Reagan was going to be 70 when he became president? We thought that was horrifically old.
I know. Yes, I remember that vividly. I lived through it.
Yeah. I mean, is there an age that's too old for presidency?
Actually, I think Bernie Sanders is too old. I mean, he's 80. Isn't he 80?
Close.
Pretty close to 80.
We're going to live to 120.
Not at the rate I'm going.
Hey,
I don't know.
As a person in my 60s, 60s are great. The 70s are dog years. The 80s are
bonus.
Are insect overtime years, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't see how anybody runs for president at 80. It just seems crazy to me.
All right. Well, let's get off the politics for a little while. We've only got about 10 minutes left, and I want to get into some other things. This was a startup company in California that I found when I researched the weird news of the week. There's a company in Los Angeles, and this is sort of like the anti-vaxxer thing to the extreme. For $80, you too can get a box of used tissues. Now, the reason that they're selling you used tissues is that they want to expose you to the viruses so that your autoimmune system can handle this on its own and build up your immune system by having access to other people's tissues. And as I said in the email to you guys, if this guy makes money with this, I quit. I'm just gonna figure out something else and just say I'm moving into the woods somewhere.
I need more information here. What were they? What kind of viruses or bacteria are there in there? The common cold, the flu, what?
The company is called Viev. And here's the quote from them. This is what's great. It says, quote, using a tissue that carries a human sneeze is safer than needles or pills, indicating that exposure to the viruses on the tissues serve as an alternative to flu shots and similar vaccines.
Somebody fund the FDA. I have so many problems with that.
And here's the best part. This is the great part. We're not about chemicals or prescription drugs here at Viev, the company's website states, inviting customers to, quote, get sick on your terms. So like there's a flu going around, well, I better just get it now so that it doesn't get me when I'm not ready for it. That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life.
I want to say one thing that I've said over and over in the last 5 years or so, and I said it to my daughter and she didn't take my advice. I said, I took health in high school, which was a required class in Michigan. My daughter was able to get out of it by taking extra Spanish or something. Health is the one class that I took in high school that I think about almost every day, because we had a great unit on quackery. And quackery back then in the 70s was Laetrile. You know, do you remember Laetrile? You're younger than me, but Laetrile, when I was in high school, Laetrile was this miracle drug that was made from, I think, apricot pits.
Oh, nice.
And Steve McQueen went to Mexico to be treated with Laetrile. It was supposed to be this miracle cancer cure.
Interferon comes to mind.
Yeah, this cancer cure that the FDA and Big Pharma didn't want you to know about. But that was it. It was Laetrile. Now it's vaccines, it's dirty tissues, it's chickenpox parties, it's, you know, it never stops, you know. And so, quackery. Read up on it.
So
that's just me.
Here's the great part about it.
Oh, there's
more? But wait, there's more.
The website and the company is unclear on whether the tissues are artificially treated or coated with the waste materials from an actual human sneeze.
Oh, all right.
Which might be the grossest thing I have ever heard. But the fact that somebody's going to buy this for $80, right? And it's going to be some celebrity that says, this cured me, and then we're going to have another person to add.
Let me just throw that out there. As a person who is currently suffering from a cold, you know, hit me up and I will sell you a box of my used tissues for $50. No shipping.
The competition.
Yeah, exactly. And free shipping.
That's it. So Nancy Derringer, via Deadline Detroit. It's not hard to find her. And you know,
have my snotty tissues. For
that's right. We'll even make sure we put a new garbage bag in the.
Maybe you can have your own line, like the Nancy Derringer tissue cold thing, and someone could get like a Nancy approved.
And I'm generally very healthy, so you know that this is a really good cold that was able to penetrate my fearsome defenses.
Well, perfect.
So there.
Embarrassed right now.
I know, I am too.
I'm
embarrassed to be a human being.
Probably a millennial person, right? And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, my generation is the worst.
Well,
I don't even know what to do.
Here's something that spans the generations, and actually is fitting for people like us, right? So as the journalism world shrinks and contracts, and we're all trying to come up with new ideas to keep doing what we like to do and finding ways to make this work, well, Oscar Mayer is hiring a new driver for the Wienermobile. And this is the cool thing. They want somebody with a journalism background or a public relations background. I have both, so I'm figuring I'm a lock for this thing. How cool would it be to drive around in a giant hot dog all over America?
It would be.
I mean, I would take the podcast on the road and just talk to strange people I meet every day.
You already have a built-in distribution model. You should contact them.
That's what I'm saying.
You would have a great time with that. Your son's in college. You've got all kinds of time.
This is a movie too, right?
Do this.
Man leaves home in a Wienermobile to find himself
in
America.
There's a novel in there. It's like on the road with a hot dog.
I have to say this though, because I see that this is coming off of the UPI website, which I just don't trust anymore.
This is a true story, though.
I believe it's a true story. But aren't there multiple Wienermobiles? They're like the Budweiser Clydesdales. There's not one team of Clydesdales. They have regional Clydesdale teams. I believe they do. This is true. They have regional Clydesdale teams, and I think there is more than one Wienermobile. But you're absolutely right. It would be completely cool, and I would totally take that job.
So look, they offer what they call a competitive salary. So I don't know what that is. Benefits, clothing,
gas money,
clothing,
clothing.
And a company car, which is, quote, guaranteed to turn heads, which is true. I don't think I've ever seen anybody not want to get their picture taken in front of the Wienermobile.
Oh yeah,
what
absolutely.
if we do a writing campaign for you? Like
really?
Submit your application, and then anybody who watches this podcast, you have to email them and say Craig Fahles for Wienerman.
Craig is your guy. You're a safe driver.
Right. And
America's new Wiener.
I can officially say I've probably had more hot dogs in my life than just about anybody I know.
Have you ever seen the Wienermobile in person?
I have.
It's impressive. There's one at the
Henry Ford.
Yeah, but we ran across one at a hotel in California. We were out there a few years ago, and when you honk the horn, it plays the Oscar Mayer jingle.
I love that. I think that's fantastic.
What's your driving record like?
Yeah.
Good enough. How fast can a Wienermobile go? I mean, it's like.
I think the turn radius is going to be a little.
Yeah, it's going to be a little
it
tricky.
seems that it's not going to be a Ferrari, so
don't take it under low hanging bridges, or you might end up
parallel parking. The Wienermobile is going to be amazing too.
I could do it.
Yeah,
I could parallel park anything. They actually taught us how to parallel park when I was in driver's ed. I don't know what they're doing to these kids today. But,
I'm a very good parallel parker.
All right, well, last story, because we do have to wrap this up, and I want to talk about this, and I cannot do the Friday Follies, by the way, if we don't talk about Florida. There's something that happens in Florida. Now, one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time, even though I froze my butt off to check it out, was the blood moon the other night. Did anybody see that?
Yeah.
I did not, but I have seen other lunar eclipses in cold weather, so I'm going to just replay that particular memory loop.
It was fantastic. I mean, it was really neat.
Yeah,
and you could see why people in the ancient times might have thought that the world was about to end, because it did look like,
it was absurd.
It turns red. It's great. But this was great. Some people down in Florida decided that they were going to pull their SUV onto the beach to watch it, and we're sitting there staring at it, not paying attention to the tide, and their lovely Honda CR-V got taken out to sea. Tides, people. They actually happened. The moon was still there.
I was going to say, it was the moon.
I think they must have been like hitting the bong before that. How do you not notice that happening?
Well,
I don't get people.
But they stopped to watch it, and yes, their SUV went floating away down in Ponte Verde Beach. And every week, I do try to find at least one story in Florida.
Of
Florida
course.
Man.
That's got to be a
We've
Florida.
Had Florida woman lately, but this was Florida couple.
Florida
couple.
Made for
So
each other.
we'll find some more for next week's Friday Follies down in Florida.
I
But
gotta say, it's warm there, though. I mean, they've got that on us right now.
They have that going on.
that is true, and I would have much rather been standing outside on a beach in Florida watching this than sitting on my back deck.
Freezing
Actually,
your
would have
ass off,
prevented
right?
to be in I would have been in an SUV floating away in the ocean.
Were they able to escape?
Yes, they were fine. They were fine. Their truck was not fine.
Were they like laying on top of it or something?
No, they just had parked it. They were originally moving like a boat, trying to get a boat out of the water or something like that, and they forgot about it. So the whole thing just sort of went drifting away. So exactly. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Anyway,
salt water is very hard on a car.
That's where we have to end today. Ashley Woods, wonderful to see you once again. Looking forward to having you chat with us on occasion. Going forward, we're talking about a couple things, so that'll be fun. Nancy Derringer, we appreciate it very much. Hey, real quick, people can get Detour. How do they get it?
The website's detourdetroiter.com. Email newsletter twice a week, delivered to your inbox.
There you go.
Usually featuring a story from Deadline Detroit.
Yes.
And Deadline Detroit,
I get
of
it.
course. DeadlineDetroit.com.
Yep.
My podcasts are there each and every day. The Friday Follies is there every week as well. Thank you both. Thanks to Michael.
Fun.
Thanks to Michael Lucido for, of course, engineering this broadcast today, doing a fantastic job.
And for getting me coffee. Thank you, Michael.
And the Buell Bar for
as
hosting
awful
us.
as and a huge thanks to the Buell Bar as always for doing this for us. And we like being here. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you,
You're
everybody.
welcome.
Have a fantastic weekend. Stay warm. It is chilly out there today, but we'll survive. It is Michigan. It is January. What else did you expect? Have a great weekend. This has been the Friday Follies on Deadline Detroit. I'm Craig. We'll see you next week.